What's up guys, SkyKevin here, and today I thought I'd make a video for all the solo players out there and share some strategies that I think might help while we're all waiting for the servers to come back online. This is all based on my own opinion, but it might give you an idea of how to play the game if you don't want to be part of any groups. I'll be coming out with even more Last Oasis videos on specific topics soon, so make sure you subscribe and check out my channel for more to come. Choosing your walker. So far, with only the tier 1 walkers in the game, I think the best option for you to use would be the dinghy walker. This one can be easily upgraded when you level it up, so you can stack some useful modules on it to increase your torque or other speed/gathering mechanics. It has a small wing attachment that you can unlock, which increases its speed and makes it more difficult for boarders to grapple onto your walker. Usually people will try to get hold of the wings and swing their way over, so this gives them a smaller area for them to attach to and helps making you a harder target to reach. I would use this one for moving a small fob base around while using the spider walker with the ballista attachment to go grab wrecks for fragments and other general small gathering runs themselves. Since the spider walker only costs a small amount of resources, you can afford to leave this one in a tile at all times while you log out your dinghy walker when you're done playing the game. Combat. This is probably the most daunting part of being a solo player. Having large groups gank you will no doubt be in their favor, and you'll have to acknowledge that in pretty much every encounter it will be difficult, but not impossible. This game has friendly fire, which means large groups swinging wildly will deal a lot of damage to each other, helping to equal the odds, and your best option when fighting is to try to increase the distance as much as you can from any enemies so that you can fight them one by one on equal footing. Let's say you're running on your walker and a group of enemies is approaching looking to board you from theirs. I would start by pressing the H key, which is the auto run key, and while you're on the steering wheel, it will make your walker continue to move forwards. This can keep the distance between you long enough that only a few of them hopefully will be able to jump on at once. As the enemy does jump on, you have the advantage to get a first hit as they'll be stuck in an animation or sometimes take fall damage when they land on the deck. It's best to try and find spots on your walker which only one person can walk through, and you can customize this by blocking the way with a couple of storage chests or something like that so that multiple enemies will have trouble getting around you and they will have to fight you one-on-one. So you want to keep your health topped off if you can so that you can have a better chance of fighting multiple enemies later on as they approach. What if your walker gets overrun and there are too many of them to deal with? Well, in that case, it's time to start running. If at all possible, make sure you're nearby an oasis when this happens, because having the foliage and mountains and trees around you will give plenty of options for an individual to grapple onto and once again keep the distance. By using your grapple to swing away from enemies, you should be able to get them to stagger their approach, giving you more options for a 1v1 with time to bandage in between. Keeping this hit and run tactic is probably the best bet for winning against larger groups. Of course, it will involve a lot of skill because you have to essentially 1v1 as many of them as you can, but as a solo player you don't really have a choice but to just be better at PvP than every single one of them and hope that you can fight them one by one. If you manage to kill any enemies, your top priority should always be to take the weapons off their bodies. The more of their weapons you take, the less of a threat they'll be. Since you can't simply overpower all of them, you'll have to outlast them until you can find a free moment to jump back onto your walker and escape. Logistics. When it comes to being a solo player, a lot of what will make you last in this game is being prepared for when players will attack. Right now, players are basically kill on sight, at least until tile claiming becomes a thing. Once that is introduced, players will hopefully police their servers and make sure that small groups playing on them will be protected so that they can collect the bonus resources that are gathered from you being there as taxes. However, since this is not the case, it's best to be prepared at all times for the inevitable PvP that you will experience. Gear is very important. If someone has better weapons and armor, they will kill you much faster than you will kill them. Having the upper hand by wielding a better sword or armor could mean twice as many hits required for them to take you down. Luckily, the game has been designed where you can store a lot of items in the cargo hold of your walker. This means you can always keep your most rare and valuable stuff in there and leave everything on your deck to be chests, usually for general resources that you don't mind losing. Players can break into your walker, but in order to do so, it requires a lot of resources and equipment, and at this stage in the game, it's never really worth it for players to break into it themselves. Even if they go as far as breaking the legs on your walker, as long as the hull stays intact, you can always return, repair the legs, and then later grab the resources from your hold. You can take this one step further by using the pack base option on your walker to store even more resources and chests inside. To do this, you would want to make a small fob that has all your crafting and chests and equipment inside the fob. From there, you click the pack base option on your walker, and when you click the fob, it will deconstruct the entire fob and all of its contents and load it into your walker's storage. This way, even if someone is coming to attack you and take all your stuff, it will most, if not all, be stored away inside the cargo hold of your walker. Until, of course, you unpack your base later on. This is how you would log off resources as well, as you can pack the full contents of your base, including your crafting stations and all your resources, and log your walker out at the edge of the zone, with everything in it, including any items in storage that were in those contents. At the end of the day, being a solo player will be difficult when it comes to large groups, but thankfully, you can log off your walker, store resources in cargo holds, and do a lot to prevent the loss of resources due to this PvP. Further, when it comes to actual combat, you do have a chance of winning against large groups, as long as you can focus on keeping the distance and fighting them 1v1 over and over until you can outlast the full lot of them. The game has a lot of mechanics in place to help with this, and I'm barely scratching the surface as to the ways that you can beat larger groups. However, I hope this helps some players that are just looking to get started in the game and to understand what to do and how to survive their time in the last Oasis. That's it for today. Let me know in the comments below if you have any other tips or tricks on what you would do as a solo player. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.